There are little habits in life that we sometimes don't even pay attention to. We consider them ordinary, habitual, and sometimes even a waste of time. But they can be the golden keys to health and longevity. And one of those habits is napping. My name is Dr. Sergey Ivanov. I am a doctor with more than 30 years of experience, a cardiac surgeon. In my life, I have seen thousands of patients young, middle-aged, and elderly. I have seen how destinies change literally because of one small thing, because of one habit. And believe me, often this small thing decides much more than complex medications or expensive procedures. Today I want to tell you about what happens to our heart and brain when we allow ourselves a little luxury, a nap. Many consider it a weakness, laziness, something unnecessary. But I beg you don't ignore this moment. At the end of this video, I will reveal the most important detail that not even all doctors talk about openly. It is a simple truth, but it can prolong your life and give you years of clear thinking. For now, let's start with a question. Do you allow yourself to take a nap during the day as easily and freely as you did when you were young? Or do you immediately feel guilty, thinking that you have too much to do and no time to rest? Let me tell you a story. Several years ago, I had a patient, a 72-year-old man, strict, disciplined, a former military man. He always believed that resting during the day was a weakness. Am I a child, to sleep during the day? He would say. But it was after a severe heart attack that he listened to the advice for the first time and began to allow himself 20 to 30 minutes of daytime sleep. And, his life changed. He had fewer blood pressure spikes, he became calmer, and his nighttime insomnia disappeared. Most importantly, he himself admitted, "Doctor, I feel alive again." Why is this so important in adulthood? Because over the years, our internal resources become depleted. The heart needs more care, the brain needs more breaks, and the nervous system needs more rest. Young people can live on wear and tear, but after 60 to 70 years of age, every little thing becomes crucial. And a nap is not a whim. It is a biological necessity that nature itself has given us. And here's what's surprising. Recent research by cardiac surgeons shows that napping is directly linked to the risk of heart attacks and strokes. I'll explain why this is so and how to nap properly to get the benefits, not the harm. But I'll save the most valuable information for last. There, I'll reveal a secret that I usually only share with my closest patients. Believe me, this knowledge can change your life and your outlook on your own health. Now let's take a look at why our perception of sleep and rest changes with age and what lies behind this simple habit. When we are young, it seems like we have endless amounts of time. We can work for weeks without sleep, endure sleepless nights preparing for exams, stay up late working, or get caught up in endless worries. When we are young, our bodies are flexible. They forgive our mistakes and turn a blind eye to sleep deprivation, stress, and overload. But with age, this leniency disappears. After 50-60 years of age, many people notice that any lack of sleep is already reflected in headaches, blood pressure spikes, and irritability. At night, on the contrary, sleep often becomes intermittent. People have difficulty falling asleep, wake up early, and feel tired all day. And this is where what we used to consider a luxury or a childish habit comes to the rescue: daytime sleep. In my experience, it is in adulthood that people begin to understand that rest is not a weakness, but a strength. A nap is like a little reset button for the heart, brain, and nervous system. But the most interesting thing is that it also changes one's perception of life. I remember a female patient, Marina Petrovna, 68 years old. She had worked as a teacher all her life and was used to living on schedule. With chores at home, her granddaughter, and the garden, she never had time to just lie down. But after her stroke, her daughter literally forced her to rest for at least 20 minutes during the day. And how surprised she was by the changes. I thought that after sleeping I would feel worse, that I would be exhausted. But it turned out to be the opposite. I had more energy, I felt calmer, and even my heart stopped acting up. Why does this happen? It is important to understand one simple thing here. A daytime nap is not just rest, it is compensation for the body. Our brain works like a battery. It charges at night, but with age, it holds its charge less well. That's why we experience an energy slump in the afternoon, that moment when our eyes start to close and we feel like we're shutting down. If we allow ourselves at least 15-20 minutes of sleep at this point, the battery recharges. Now let's look at it from the heart's perspective. Cardiologists and cardiac surgeons note that after the age of 60, it is especially important for the heart to get breaks. When a person lies down during the day and allows themselves to relax, the levels of stress hormones cortisol and adrenaline decrease. This means that blood pressure returns to normal, the heart rhythm evens out, and the blood vessels rest. It turns out that a short nap is like free prevention of hypertension and cardiovascular disasters. Some may object, but it's not always possible to fall asleep during the day. And that's okay. Even if you just lie down with your eyes closed, breathing evenly and calmly, there will already be an effect. The brain picks up the signal, it's time to rest, and it switches the body from stress mode to recovery mode. Of course, all this is directly related to psychology. In adulthood, we often start to rush, as if we want to get more done. But it is precisely this feeling of I must that destroys our health. A daytime nap becomes not only a physiological remedy, but also a psychological practice. It is a moment when you allow yourself to rest, when you say to yourself, I also have the right to take a break. In essence, it is a metaphor for life. After all, maturity itself is a time when it is time to allow yourself to care more about yourself, and not just about others. When you can stop chasing and learn to enjoy. Many people think, what if a daytime nap disrupts my nighttime routine? But studies show that if the nap is short 15 to 30 minutes, it does not interfere with nighttime sleep, but rather improves its quality. People fall asleep more peacefully, toss and turn less, and wake up feeling more refreshed. And here we come to a very important conclusion. The wisdom of age lies in listening to your body. Don't fight it, help it. Napping after 60 is no longer a whim, but a conscious habit that prolongs life. Next, I will talk about the first golden habit that cardiac surgeons have noticed. It is directly related to how our brain and heart rejuvenate literally every day. Once you try it, you will feel the difference in just a week. Now I will talk about something that many people underestimate, even though it can literally reboot the brain and heart. The first golden habit that cardiac surgeons talk about is a short daytime nap, one that lasts only 15-30 minutes. At first glance, it seems like a trifle, some kind of childish luxury. But in my experience and according to the observations of my colleagues, it is this trifle that changes the quality of life in adulthood more than many pills. I remember my patient, Nikolai Stepanovich. He was 74 years old. He was always proud of his discipline. He got up early, worked in his garden, and loved helping his children and grandchildren. But closer to lunchtime, he invariably felt as if he were switching off from life. His eyes would close, his thoughts would become confused, and a red light of fatigue would seem to flash in his head. All this was accompanied by fluctuations in blood pressure and headaches. He stubbornly fought this condition, believing that only children or lazy people sleep during the day, and therefore held on with all his might. But his strength was running out faster than he wanted, and he himself noticed that he had become irritable, forgetful, and even rude to his loved ones. We agreed to conduct a little experiment. Every day after lunch, he allowed himself to lie down and close his eyes for just 20 minutes. If I don't fall asleep, at least I'll lie down, he said. But he fell asleep, and after a week he admitted that he felt like a different person. His words stuck with me for a long time. Doctor, I feel alive again. He stopped complaining of headaches, his blood pressure became more stable, and his mood became surprisingly calm. He said that for the first time in many years, he felt not just rested, but that he had regained the strength he had been lacking. Why does this happen? Because a short daytime nap is a special pause for the body. During these minutes, the brain has time to enter a state of relaxation, as if a restart button has been pressed. The heart works more gently, the blood vessels have the opportunity to expand, and blood flow improves. At this moment, the level of stress hormones decreases, and the whole body thanks you for such a short respite. The main thing here is brevity. If sleep is prolonged, the body enters a deep phase, and then waking up becomes difficult, and you feel exhausted and sleepy. But 20 minutes is like a breath of fresh air for the brain and heart. Sometimes patients ask me, what if I don't fall asleep? And I always answer, it doesn't matter. Even if you just lie down with your eyes closed, shutting out your worries, the effect will be noticeable. The brain still switches gears, the nervous system receives a signal that it can rest, and the body begins to recover. In my experience, it is older people who benefit most from this habit. After all, after the age of 60, the heart can no longer work to exhaustion. It needs breaks, gentle stops. And a nap becomes such a natural pause, a medicine without pills. I implore you to try it for at least a week. Allow yourself these short 20 minutes, and you will feel the difference. You will notice how easier it becomes to breathe, how clearer your thoughts become, how the heaviness in your head disappears. And the most interesting part is yet to come. In the second golden habit, I will talk about something that not only helps the soul but also literally slows down the aging of the brain. It's something that many people don't even think about, but it's this simple step that can keep your memory and attention sharp for many years to come. When we talk about health after 60, many people immediately think of medications, tests, doctors, and complicated procedures. Rarely does anyone consider that the simplest and most accessible remedy is literally right under our feet. I am referring to a regular walk. The one where you leave your home and allow your feet to move at their own pace, surrounded by fresh air, green trees, birdsong, or even just the familiar streets of your hometown. Cardiac surgeons are increasingly referring to this as a genuine remedy, and this is not a metaphor. Walking every day is the second golden habit that slows down the aging of the heart and brain. Let me tell you a story. I had a patient, Valentina Andreevna, who was 70 years old. She had lived a difficult life, working at a school, constantly caring for her family, then her granddaughters, her husband's illnesses. It seemed that she had always lived for others, leaving her with neither strength nor time for herself. When she came to me, she complained of blood pressure spikes, insomnia, and that even a simple staircase had become a challenge for her. She was tired in body and soul. And do you know what I suggested to her first? Not new medications, not complicated exercises, but simply to go outside for at least 20 minutes every day. At first, she laughed. "Doctor, will that really help?" But she decided to give it a try. She went out into the yard, sat down on a bench, and then began to walk in small circles around the house. At first, it was difficult for her heart was pounding, and her breathing was uneven. But she continued, step by step. And after a month, she admitted, "I don't recognize myself. It's like I'm waking up for the second time in a day. In the evening, I fall asleep more easily. In the morning I wake up feeling refreshed, my blood pressure has become more stable, and I feel a joy inside that I haven't felt in a long time." Why does this happen? It's very simple and at the same time surprising. When we go out into the fresh air, our body receives several gifts at once. The first is oxygen. Our brain is like a battery. It needs fuel, and oxygen is its main source. The more clean air there is, the better the cells work, the clearer the thoughts become, and the slower the memory ages. The second is movement. Even the calmest step gets the heart working at the right rhythm. The heart is gently exercised without overload. Blood vessels become more elastic, blood flows faster, and carries nutrients to all organs. And the third is light. We often forget that sunlight is also medicine. It regulates the biological clock, improves the production of happiness hormones, and helps fight depression. Sometimes people say to me, "Doctor, I can't walk far, I don't have the strength." But it's not about the distance. It's not how many kilometers you walk that matters, but the fact that you go outside and allow yourself to be in contact with the air, the street, and movement. Even if it's only 5 minutes, it's a step towards health. And if you do it every day, your strength will gradually return, and you'll be surprised at how much more you can do. I've often observed that people who maintain the habit of walking at 70 or 80 years old look different. Their eyes are clearer, their gait is calmer, and their faces glow. They complain less about memory and fatigue, and they have fewer problems with blood pressure. In my experience, such people really do live longer and feel happier. And I think this is no coincidence. Walking is not just physical movement, it is movement of the soul. It is an opportunity to listen to yourself, slow down, and escape the hustle and bustle. There is another important point. Walking is not only preventive medicine, it is also a cure for loneliness. How many times have I seen grandmothers and grandfathers gathering in courtyards, talking, sharing news, laughing? This is no less important for the heart and brain than oxygen. Because the feeling of belonging, the feeling that you are needed and that you are not alone, heals just as well as pills. And yet I must be honest. There are things that people often underestimate. If walking and sleeping are what strengthen us, then there is also the flip side, things that imperceptibly destroy our health. I always talk about this with concern because I have seen too many lives ruined by it. And so, in the third golden habit, I will talk about what can literally destroy a person if overlooked. This is not a joke or an exaggeration. It is a warning that I give to each of my patients. There is one thing that people often forget, but it can either protect your heart and soul or destroy your health. I am talking about stress management and the ability to let go of your worries. Trust my experience. After the age of 60, stress becomes a silent killer that acts imperceptibly but inevitably. You can eat right, go for walks, even sleep during the day, but if anxiety, irritation, resentment, and endless worries remain inside you, they destroy the body no less than poison. In my practice, there have been many cases when a person who seemed healthy at first glance suddenly had a heart attack or stroke. And almost always there was a common feature in their lives: constant tension that they carried within themselves. I remember one patient, Alexey Ivanovich, who was 69 years old. He was constantly worried about his children, money, health, and the fact that he didn't have time for everything. He looked like a strong man, doing things around the house, but inside he lived in constant tension. His blood pressure fluctuated, his heart beat irregularly, and at some point, it couldn't take it anymore. He had a heart attack. Fortunately, he was saved. But after the operation, we talked a lot, and he admitted, "Doctor, I realized that I had driven myself to this. I was always in a hurry, always holding grudges, always afraid. I didn't allow myself to relax. Why is this so dangerous?" The fact is that stress triggers a cascade of reactions: hormone release, vasoconstriction, rapid heartbeat. And if this happens day after day, the blood vessels wear out, the heart works to exhaustion, and immunity declines. This destruction occurs slowly and imperceptibly, but it is inevitable if nothing changes. Therefore, the third golden habit is: learn to let go of stress every day. There are different ways to do this. Some people find peace in prayer, some in breathing exercises, some in walking or communicating with loved ones. The main thing is to create a small ritual for yourself that helps your soul breathe out. I always advise my patients to do a simple exercise. In the evening, before going to bed, place your hand on your heart and breathe deeply and calmly for a few minutes. With each exhalation, imagine the anxiety and heaviness of the day leaving you. It seems naive, but it works surprisingly well. Even doctors note that blood pressure decreases, sleep becomes deeper, and the heart rests. In my experience, it is the ability to calm yourself, to find moments of silence and joy, that becomes the main shield against illness after the age of 60. After all, aging is not only a process of the body, but also a process of the soul. And if the soul is tense, the body ages faster. But if the soul is calm, the body stays stronger. I implore you, don't put it off. Stress destroys slowly but surely, and the sooner you learn to manage it, the longer you will retain clarity of mind and health of heart. Here are 3 simple steps that combine everything we've talked about: a short nap, walks in the fresh air, and the ability to let go of stress. Together, they create the foundation that maintains balance and clarity even in old age. And now the most important thing. In the finale, I will reveal what I promised to tell you only at the end. It's a little secret that many people underestimate, but it's what gives you a sense of harmony and strength, regardless of age. So, let's pause for a moment and look back at what we've been talking about. I promised you at the very beginning that I would reveal the most important thing at the end, and now it's time to bring all the golden habits together into a single whole. After all, they don't exist separately, they work together, supporting each other like 3 strong pillars. The first is a short nap during the day. Not a long or heavy one, but a light rest of 15-30 minutes, which seems to give your heart and brain new life during the day. The second habit is daily walks. Even if they are short, even if it is just a few laps around the house, they provide the body with oxygen, movement, and light. And the third habit is the ability to let go of stress. This is the most difficult, but also the most important. Not to carry the burden of resentment and anxiety, but to learn to relax and trust life every day, even if only for a few minutes. If we put all this together, we get a simple but surprisingly powerful formula for health. Sleep gives the body a break, walks fill it with energy, and peace of mind protects the heart from destruction. And the most amazing thing is that all this is available to everyone. You don't need money, you don't need complicated medicines, you don't need special conditions. All it takes is your decision to take care of yourself. And here I will reveal the secret I mentioned at the very beginning. Many people think that health is a struggle with illness, a struggle with age, a struggle with oneself. But in 30 years of practice, I have come to understand the main thing. Health is not a struggle, but a union. A union with your own body, a union with nature, a union with time. When you stop chasing, stop fighting, and start listening to yourself, that's when true harmony comes. This is the wisdom of age. Learning to live in harmony, not in a constant race. As a bonus, I want to give you a little exercise that I often recommend to my patients. It's simple and takes only 3 minutes, but its effect can be amazing. Every morning, as soon as you wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, close your eyes, and take 10 deep breaths in and out. As you inhale, imagine that light and strength are entering you, and as you exhale, imagine that fatigue and anxiety are leaving you. This little ritual helps you start your day right. Your heart beats more evenly, your breathing becomes easier, and your mood becomes calmer. Try it, and you will feel the difference for yourself. Take care of yourself. Your time is valuable at any age. You don't have to wait for a special moment to start taking care of your heart, your soul, and yourself. Even small steps can change your life. Start with something simple: 20 minutes of sleep, a short walk, a minute of deep breathing. It may seem trivial, but it is these little things that add up to longevity and happiness. And please, don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Show this video to your parents, friends, and loved ones. Maybe right now is when they need this warm advice. Share it so that others can also maintain their health and clarity of mind. And write in the comments which of these habits is closest to you personally, which one you are ready to try tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new conversations about heart health, the wisdom of age, and how to maintain harmony even after 60. And remember, your heart hears your every step, your every breath, and your every pause. Fill them with kindness toward yourself, and life will respond with gratitude.